Guys, we need to talk. It's about some of my recent videos. What is going on here? I've posted 9 videos in the past month and I have not received a single dislike. I know you guys are very vocal about disliking my videos, and it helps me as a creator figure out which ones you guys don't like and what not to do in the future. Now, I know there's been talk about YouTube hiding the dislike count and even getting rid of the dislike button. And as much as I don't like your hate, I also need the dislikes because it helps me as a creator. Contrary to some opinion where they think dislikes are negative for creators, I personally like it because it gives me feedback. For example, here are all of my videos in chronological order, and they're plotted with the like to dislike ratio. Anything under an 80% like is in red, anything under 90% is in yellow, and I use this feedback to figure out which videos you guys don't like. You can see here my recent videos. I don't know what you guys like and don't like. I can't figure it out with just the like to dislike ratio alone. So I started thinking that, well, if you guys aren't disliking my videos, and what if YouTube gets rid of the dislike button? Is there an alternate metric I could use? And I started thinking, what if I take the like count and divide it by the view count? Would that give me a realistic metric like I received in the past on how my videos did? So to figure this out, I use the Steve C Data YouTube channel to video details workflow, link in the description. Disclaimer, this is a paid product that I own, making this incredibly biased. And to use this workflow, I just grab the channel ID of any public channel. You could use this with your own channel or a competitor's channel. I put it in and I run the workflow and I get my results out. It went to the YouTube API and automatically made the request for the video details, combining everything together in a single CSV file. I then upload this CSV file to Google Drive, and I'm using Google Colab, which is a free service that lets me run Jupyter notebooks to perform analysis with Python and pandas. So you can see here, I just load that CSV file into pandas as a data frame. I hide my auth tokens, you guys can't steal it. And here is that data again, and I can scroll to the interesting columns I want. I want to know the title of the video, so I know which ones you guys like and don't like. And I'm interested in 3 specific columns: the view count, the like count, and the dislike count. All the other columns I really don't need, so I'm going to make a new data frame containing only a subset of those 4 columns here, and then I'm going to rename them to something more sane, like just title, view count, like count, and dislike count over here using the mapper function. All right, and now I want to make some derivative columns. So I want to get the old school like to dislike count, which is likes over likes plus dislikes, and then the new hypothetical ratio I want to start using, like count over view count, and save them. So now I have my older 4 columns and my new 2 columns to the right, where I can see the older traditional like to dislike, which is not helpful in my recent videos, and the new ratio, which is the like to view ratio. Now I like to visualize these things, so let's first visualize the older original like to dislike ratio that I used to rely on. So I'm going to visualize this column here using a bar chart, and I'm also going to color it. So I want a green bar if it's above 90% likes, a yellow bar if it's between 90 and 80, and anything under 80 is a red bar, meaning I need to rethink that video. So here's the visualization, and as you can see, it's not very helpful for my recent videos, which have not yet received any dislikes, so I don't have any feedback for them. So now I'm going to redo this visualization, but I'm going to use the newer like to view ratio I'm testing out. But this time I'm going to color it green if it's above 2%, yellow if it's above 1.5%, otherwise red. I'll explain how I arrived at these numbers later. And now I finally have some feedback on my most recent videos, so I can definitely see a clear pattern where some of them outperform others. And from the looks of it, it looks like anything above about 10% of viewers who like the video is exceptional. And from the looks of it, it looks like you guys really like the videos where I do investigations and open things up in Google Colab, just like this very video, which is why I'm making it. And I can see a few other ones from my past, the ones that are kind of more like personal and about my own channel, they seem to perform well. I think it's mostly because they got so few views, it's only people that really like the channel. So that's not very helpful. What I really want to know though is, can I use this information as a substitute to the older like to dislike ratio? Basically, do these colors match up? If something has a low like to view ratio, did it also have a low like to dislike ratio? So to figure this out, I'm just going to combine both of the graphs onto one big happy combined graph. And for each video, I'm going to have two bars. The bar on the left is going to be the older like to dislike ratio, and the bar on the right is going to be the newer like to view ratio. And I basically want to see if the colors match between the two bars for most of the videos, which would mean that they both sort of agree with each other. And I apologize if you can't see the colors clearly, but they are just correlated to the size of the bar. So basically we want to see where both bars are high up relative to one another and both bars are low relative to other bars. So from the looks of it, I mean, it looks sort of accurate. It's really hard to tell by just eyeballing it. So ultimately we want to look for a statistical correlation to show that we can predict the older like to dislike ratio from the like to view ratio. So let's do some statistical analysis. And the first thing I did was eliminate those outliers with 100% likes because it's going to be tricky to predict them because they're all 100%. And when I do a scatter plot, so now I'm using the x-axis to show me the newer like to view ratio and the y-axis being the older like to dislike ratio to see if I can predict the old from the new. And for those of you wondering how I picked those new color thresholds for the like to view ratio, you can see here that 1.5% correlates to 80% on the older like to dislike ratio, and 2% roughly correlates to 90%. And it looks like there is some correlation here. It doesn't look super strong, and it kind of looks like a curve, which is interesting. So I'm going to calculate the correlation, and I can see it's very weak. Anything under 0.5 is considered weak correlation. And I can use Seaborn here to run a very simple regression and show the line of best fit, which looks pretty flat, which is not great. But what's interesting here is that this is really curved, and this suggests that we may need to log the x-axis to sort of smush things together, for lack of a better word. So here I'm going to try again, but I'm going to create a new column, and I'm going to run the natural log of the like to view ratio and then plot that. And here we have a much straighter looking correlation, and I can actually run the correlation again, and here I get 0.5. So this is weak correlation, but it's better than before. And here's another regression, and we can see the line of best fit is a little steeper, which is a better sign. So ultimately, yes, I believe that there is some correlation that we can get from using this new like to view ratio instead of factoring in dislikes. So if YouTube ever removes the dislike button, I'm not too concerned because I can simply look at the number of likes divided by views, and that gets me very similar and correlated metrics to the older like to dislike ratio. The only caveat with this is that for whatever reason, we appear to need to run the log function on the like to view count. My hunch is that this accounts for the scaling factor, where when you initially release a video, when it goes out to your audience, you'll typically get a much higher like to view ratio. And then once YouTube starts scaling it out to a wider audience, that will drop. So I believe the log function helps squish this down when the video has an abnormally high like to view ratio. So please keep that in mind. I've also noticed the videos that actually perform well and generate more revenue for me have a lower like to view ratio because YouTube started showing them to more people, and the general public is less likely to like your videos than your audience, like you guys. So I hope you had fun and learned a lot about statistics, and that it's not the end of the world if we stop getting dislikes as content creators, because the like to view ratio still has a weak correlation to the older like to dislike ratio, which is helpful. And for that reason, please like this video if you learned something and want to see more of this type of content, or even better, just subscribe so you see me on a regular basis. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay amazing, and stay data-driven.